How many times have you said to a customer you knew was going to be a headache, but you needed the money, you said yes? I mean, we've all been there, right? You're standing in the driveway, listening to a homeowner explain how the last guy did them wrong. You know it's going to be a mess. And deep down, you can feel it. This job is going to suck the life out of you. But you said yes anyway. Why? Because the bills don't care. They don't care about your gut feeling. But here's the problem. If you keep saying yes to the wrong jobs, to the wrong people, and to the wrong standards, you're going to burn out fast. This episode is brought to you by The Hub, the business growth made simple coaching community built for contractors who are tired of doing everything themselves and ready to build a business that actually works. Inside The Hub, you'll get weekly coaching, systems, and tools to grow with less chaos. Start with the free 2-minute quiz at genesisbusinessstrategies.com to see if your business is set up to run without you. Wow, saying yes to the wrong things. How many of us have done that? Yeah, I've got a buddy, Ray. He's an electrician. Started his business after getting tired of working for a big box company. They cared more about quotas than quality. KPIs just meant so much, and if you didn't meet up to their KPIs, you were out. Ray's good. He does clean work, cares about his name. About 4 years into owning his own business, he started saying yes to everything. He'd wire an addition one day, install a chandelier in a 6,000 square foot mansion the next, run a call at a trailer park for a lady who hadn't paid the last guy. Wow, if somebody had a pulse in a panel, Ray was your guy. Why? Work is work, right? And for a while, it felt like the smart move. His calendar stayed full. His truck stayed busy. Cash came in. But after a while, I started noticing Ray stopped laughing. He stopped posting pictures he was proud of. I met up with him one day and he said, "Man, I don't even like my business anymore. I'm making money, but I'm miserable. My guys are quitting. My phone's ringing constantly. And it feels like every client expects something different." I said, "Ray, you're running 12 different businesses at once. You weren't building anything scalable. You were trying to be everything to everyone." And that's what happens when you don't have core values or immutable laws. So what are immutable laws? They're your non-negotiables. Your core values, this is who we are and this is who we're not. Without those, your business becomes a wild animal. Always reaching, always shifting, always stretching. You're stretching yourself into something that it was never meant to be. Let me give you a couple examples. I've worked with contractor A, who says we don't work weekends ever. We respect our clients' homes like they were our own, and we never compromise safety for speed. And contractor B says we only take jobs we're excited about. If someone doesn't respect our pricing, they're not a good fit. And every client gets a follow-up call, no expectations. You might hear that and think, well, that's nice for them, but I don't have that luxury. Here's the thing. Most contractors wait until they're completely burned out before they draw a line in the sand. And the best ones, they define their lines early and build a business around them. So I've got a story about this that happened to me. I had a client that every time I showed up at his house, every time, he couldn't afford for me to do the work. He had a 30-year-old oil boiler that basically, I won't say duct tape was keeping it apart or together, but it was pretty close. Almost a wing and a prayer. And every time I'd go out there, it would need a filter. And this could be 2 times, 3 times a year. He needed a new oil tank. He refused to put a new tank in. It was just nasty. And usually I'd wind up doing a clean out 2 or 3 times per season because he refused to take care of it and then waited until there was no heat before he called us. And I'd show up at the door, and before I even walked in the door, it was always, I hope this doesn't cost much. I don't have a lot of money. I remember it was late February, early March one year. It was a mild year, but it was cold. I think I rolled up and it was like 36, 37 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was going down into the upper teens that night. And I remember pulling in the driveway, and it was a big enough driveway that you could pull in and turn to the right. There was enough room for maybe 3, 4 vehicles there. And then once you turned and made that right and parked, behind you was the actual garage. And I remember usually he had the garage door open to let me in through the garage. But this particular night, it was closed. And so I walk up to the side door, knock on the door. He's in his office, and sure enough, he goes, man, I really can't afford this right now. I had to buy 2 new cars. And I'm thinking, you had to buy 2 new cars? That's interesting. So as we got to talking, he had to buy 2 new cars because when he bought a new car, he forgot the golden rule that your wife gets the new car. She complained, so he had to replace her car for her. And so now he had 2 car payments along with his mortgage and hadn't had car payments in a couple of years. And so now he's griping to me that he can't afford to fix this heater, even though it's been a problem, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years that I was working with him. And I glanced back at the truck I'm driving, and at that particular time, I was driving a Hino box truck, a 12-foot box truck, aluminum body, Hackney body. Love it. Had all the shelves in it. It was a great truck. But it also had 250,000 miles on it. Should have been replaced a few years early. I mean, I could have just re-chassied it, pulled the box off, put a new chassis under it. But you're still not talking a cheap endeavor. And I remember thinking, I'm giving this guy a huge discount and he's going out and buying cars. You know what? Starting today, the day I was there, I said, discounts for friends. Not everybody gets a discount. You can cry all you want. Not everybody gets a discount. And I remember giving him the price. And the conversation didn't change. It was the same conversation. Wow, this couldn't have come at a worse time. I had a lot going on. I'm not making a lot of money. But that was every time. It was the same conversation. And I just flat out told him, this is what it's going to cost to get you up and running today. I'm here. I can take care of it. Or I don't want to offend you, but you can call somebody else and have them come in. And he said, no, just go ahead and do it. And in that moment, I realized that there are some customers who I really should let go. Yeah, he was willing to pay then, but it was a hassle to get him to pay my prices. And I really like that one. If somebody doesn't respect our price, then they're not a fit. So what happens when you don't define your values? Well, figure you're building a house with no blueprint. Show up every day, start swinging your hammer wherever the wind blows. One day it looks like a rancher. Next week you're adding a second story. Homeowner says, you know what? I want an open concept. Knock out a few walls, hope for the best. And that's what running your business without values looks like. It's a Frankenstein job. You're always reacting, always tired, never feels done. Ray was there, and so was I. So I thought about doing the right thing by keeping everyone happy, but you know what? If you try to keep everyone happy, you end up miserable yourself. And I found out if you stand for everything, you wind up standing for nothing and you get burned out. When you don't know what you stand for, you say yes when you should say no. Usually you wind up undercharging to get a job. You hire guys that don't share your values. They don't show up. They spend time on their phone. A job that should take 7 hours takes 13 hours. You stay busy, but you're not really building anything. Let's go down this rabbit trail. I had a guy once tell me, well, I just go with the flow, whatever the customer wants. I said, that's not customer service. That's being a coward. Customer service is doing the right thing, even if it's not what the customer wants to hear. So right now, you don't need to hire a branding expert or spend $5,000 on a consultant. It's a simple way to get started. Think of the 3 worst clients you've ever had. What makes them miserable? Was it because they paid late? Were they rude? Did they expect a discount or scope changes? What is it that bothered you about what they did and who they were? What values were they violating? If a customer argued every change, maybe one of your laws is we charge what we're worth. No apologies. Look in the mirror. What are your non-negotiables? Do you believe in a family-first scheduling? Are you obsessed with clean work area? Do you take pride in being honest with your timelines? Those are your true North Star. They are the pin in your GPS. Write them down. They don't need to sound pretty. They just need to be you. Real. Put them on your website. Tell them to your team early and often. Say them out loud. I know some companies put their core values or their immutable laws on a poster form and put a couple of them up throughout the shop where everybody can see them. I know a few who will take and put 2 posters up and then take each law and separate them into smaller posters and mount them throughout the whole building or down the hallway or in the break room or something like that. When you start doing this, you'll start attracting a better fit customer and better fit employees. Now, after Ray and I talked, we sat down and wrote his 3. He said, we don't chase checks. We earn them. We do the right thing the first time, or we make it right. And we work with people, not for people. Here's the interesting thing. About 5 or 6 months later, he lost a couple of team members. Didn't have to replace them. They were smaller but stronger. His revenue went down just a hair, but his profits went up. And for the first time in a long time, he said, I love my company again. That's one of the powers of values. So here's your one thing for this week. Here's your challenge. Think of 3 to 5 of the worst jobs you've ever taken. Figure out what it is they had in common. And then write down 3 things you will no longer tolerate. And then write down 3 things you'll always stand for. These are the start of your immutable laws. Put them somewhere visible. Use them when hiring. Use them when quoting. Even scheduling. Everything. Hey, that one may have been family first scheduling, and when your scheduler is talking, or your dispatcher is talking on the phone, they can say, hey, we believe our technicians should be home with their families every night. What is the time during the day that works for you? And, if you're tired of feeling like your business owns you and you want to build a company that reflects who you are, we can help. You can start with the 2-minute quiz, genesisbusinessstrategies.com. It'll show you if your business is set up to run without you. And the quiz gives you a custom score and one simple fix to start moving forward. And hey, as always, if you got something out of today's episode, or if you know somebody who could get something out of today's episode, friend, a colleague, brother, cousin, burnout's real, but it's not permanent. Let's start building something worth showing up for.